Good evening, professionals. In this webinar series, we have been discussing about the recent updates in Companies Act, LLP Act, and various other provisions and corporate laws. Today, we are going to see the CLC report, the Company Law Committee report, presented under the chairmanship of Rajesh from the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, of course, with an initiative to facilitate ease of doing business. This report was presented during Jan 2021 and it has three components to it, predominantly being decriminalization of offense. 12 such offenses, they have entered the wing of IAM, in-house adjudication mechanism. One offense is completely omitted. The rationale for this decriminalization is predominantly a principle-based approach which is exercised by the ministry. When you see a principle-based approach, there are three principles which have driven these 12 offenses to be decriminalized. What are those? One, any minor or less stringent offense, they have aimed at decriminalizing such offense, which is principle 1. Principle 2 is to avoid duplication of acts repeating the same kind of offense, which means if there is a fine or penalty imposed for an offense in any other law, then the same should not be repeated in LLP Act. So that is the objective behind principle number 2. Principle number 3 is where it acts as a deterrent measure when there is a fraud involved or it causes injury to public interest, or it is certainly an offense which cannot be construed to come within the ambit of decriminalization because of the kind of offense which is involved in that, in which case those offenses will still be under the existing wing, which means the status quo prevails. First amendment which is proposed under LLP Act basis this CLC report is decriminalization of offense, while the attempt or objective behind this report was predominantly for decriminalization. They have introduced certain relaxations in terms of ease of doing business for LLP, and hence amendments are more for facilitating the business under LLP sheet, which includes your small LLP status, similar to your small company status, linked to the threshold, and also issuance of non-convertible debentures. Third objective or the third category of amendment proposed under LLP Act is predominantly miscellaneous provisions, which are the concomitant amendments or the reference which is drawn to Companies Act 1956 hitherto, they have changed it to Companies Act 2013 in the light of recent changes and enactments. And with this brief introduction, let's get into today's presentation. Thanks to Aishwarya for this presentation. Some of the legends for your future reference and use. First, let's see decriminalization, followed by which we will see small LLP, NCD issuances, and we will finally see the consequential amendment proposed to LLP Act. CLC report issued on 4th Jan 2021 is the subject matter. Decriminalization of 12 offences into IAM mechanism. One offence they have omitted, which is penalty on non-compliance of any order passed by the tribunal. Introduction of novel concept called small LLPs and issuance of NCDs, which is a welcome move. Finally, the consequential amendments. Decriminalization. What do you mean by decriminalization? Process of ceasing to treat some offence as illegal or criminal offence is the literal jargon or the meaning for decriminalization. For committing a crime, we all have studied in our CRPC that mens rea is the predominant factor to be considered. Mens rea again means the guilty mind. That is the pivotal factor. So when mens rea is not present, it could certainly be clarified that such act must not be punishable, imposing a monetary fine, but it could be routed through the civil framework. Thus, the CLC, before presenting the report, had identified those which are not to be treated as criminal offences under LLP Act and thus recommended for decriminalization. We are now going to see those existing provisions vis-a-vis the proposed amendments. Section 7 talks about the minimum number of designated partners to be 2. It again states under section 7(1) imposing a criterion for resident in India, one such designated partner to be a resident in India, and this resident in India, the explanation is for a period of not less than 182 days during the immediately preceding 1 year. In the light of amendment in the Income Tax Act, where there is a shift from 182 days to 120 days, there is this proposed amendment for considering the residential status for 120 days during the financial year in lieu of 182 days. Next is the contravention of section 7(1), where we already discussed that there shall be 2 DPs. One such DP shall be a resident DP, and where there is a body corporate, if both the partners are bodies corporate, or if there is going to be one individual and one body corporate, there is this provision which states that the nominees of this body corporate or the partners could be the designated. If there are 2 partners, let the individual 2 partners be the designated partner. If there is a contravention by any of the LLPs under this provision, previously it was punishable with a fine of 10,000 to 5 lakhs. Now there is a shift, which is liability with a penalty of 10,000 and the continuing offense 100 every day for the days during which the default continues, subject to a ceiling of 1 lakh for LLP and 50,000 for partner, in lieu of a consolidated cap of 5 lakhs without distinguishing between LLP and partners, which was prevailing earlier. Then comes your 7(4). 7(4) is the designated partner to give his consent to act as a designated partner. If there is a contravention of this 7(4) provision and there is no such intimation which is made for according the consent by these designated partners, this provision contravention again is linked to a continuing offense of 100 every day, again demarcating between LLP and partners. For LLP it is 50,000 and for partners it is 25,000, which is the maximum ceiling. And section 8, which says that liability of designated partner. Section 8 subsection 1 clearly says that the provisions of LLP Act shall be complied in terms of filing of any document or return by these designated partners. Not only that, they shall also agree and conform to the binding arrangement made in the LLP agreement. Section 8 is thus a separate and independent section by itself, and hence linking and bringing that provision under section 10, the committee felt is not required, and hence section 8 reference under section 10 is omitted. Section 9, changes in designated partner. Where there is any change in the designated partner, again the reporting is required with the ministry, and if there is going to be any offense which is committed, again this is subject to the continuing offense of 100 per day, 10,000 with continuing offense of 100, and again classifying clearly between LLP and partner, which is 1 lakh for LLP and 50,000 for the partners. Registered office. Registered office section 13 clearly says that every LLP shall certainly have a registered office in place, and the rules clearly mandate the provision for notifying any change in the registered office. So if there is going to be any change within the same state, the rules clearly say that within 30 days you have to intimate in the prescribed form. And if there is going to be a change from one state to another state, again the prescribed form is required to be filed. Within 30 days is the mandate prescribed. If there is going to be any contravention, either in having this registered office or in notifying such change in the registered office, then the penalty was previously it was a fine of 2,000 to 25,000. Now it is 500. There is a clear shift from fine to penalty. Again, what is fine and penalty, friends? We have already discussed in previous webinars. Just to have a quick recap, fine is nothing but a penalty which is imposed by a court, which is adjudicated by a court or a tribunal. But a penalty is merely a punishment for any non-compliance, and it could be done by any statutory authority for that matter, which means the penalty could be imposed by the in-house adjudication mechanism process by itself, and it need not wait for the court or tribunal to pass an order, while that is the case for a fine being imposed for any contravention. And there is a clear shift from 2,000 to the minimum criteria being 500 and subject to a maximum, however, being 50,000 in this case. Again, linked to 500 every day for continuing offence to a ceiling of 50,000. And change of name of LLP, where there is a change in the name. Again, the notification and the obligations, if the company is not complying with, previously the fine was of rupees 10,000 and to a maximum of 5 lakhs and 1 lakh for LLP, 5 lakh for LLP and 1 lakh for designated partner respectively. If the LLP fails to comply with the central government direction for either change of name or for trademark, then central government suo motu has the prerogative right now to allot a new name, and this, however, does not prevent the LLPs from reserving a new name. Thus, there is no fine imposed. However, the central government could take the power to prescribe a new name, or the LLP may suo motu act upon the fact being notified that this particular name is in line with some existing trademark, then it is certainly constituting a violation of the provisions, which is undesirable name or something which is identical with a registered trademark, and hence they themselves could make an application for reserving a new name. Publication of name. This is quite similar to your provisions in Section 12 of Companies Act. All your official publications, invoices should carry this particular name of this LLP, address, and also a statement that they are acting as limited liability partnership firm. If there is a default in complying with this provision, previously a fine of 2,000 to 25,000 and now it is a penalty of only 10,000 rupees. Registration of changes in partners. Where there is a change in partner, then it is casting an obligation on the partners to report to LLP, and LLP in turn reporting to the ministry. And if there is an offence, previously the fine was 2,000 to 25,000 and now it is penalty of 10,000, and failure to intimate the LLP by the partner in case of any change, again similar fine of 2,000 to 20,000 was earlier imposed. Now the respective partner shall be liable for a penalty of only rupees 10,000. Maintenance of books of accounts, other records. Section 34 clearly mandates that this LLP, whether they are maintaining the books of accounts or other statutory records, ideally the accounts in cash basis or dual accrual basis, they should clearly indicate, and whether the double entry system of accounting is maintained, they have to certainly comply with all those provisions, and more importantly, within 6 months from the end of the financial year for the financials as at the end, that is for 31st March 2021 on or before 30th September, they should file this solvency statement form 11, which is the prescribed form. Failing to do so, the LLP shall be punishable with a fine ranging from 25,000 to 5 lakhs, and for designated partner it is a fine imposed from 10,000 to 1 lakh. Now LLP and DP shall be liable to a penalty of 100 per day for continuing offence, and the ceiling limit is 1 lakh and 50,000 for LLP and DP respectively. Annual return, section 35, again costs obligation on LLP similar to companies to file their annual return. The prescribed form is form 4, and they have the timeline which is prescribed under LLP Act read with rules is within 60 days from the end of the financial year. Here again the fine is LLP 25,000 to 5 lakhs. For designated partner it is 10,000 to 1 lakh. For the new amendment which is proposed, it is again linked to the continuing offence of 100 every day, subject to a maximum ceiling of 1 lakh for LLP and 50,000 for designated partner. And where there is an order passed by the tribunal, that particular LLP, similar to how the companies have to file the order copy with the registrar, they have to do this filing. Failing to do so, LLP and DP shall be punishable with a fine which may extend to 1 lakh. Now, the penalty is fine moved to penalty, and from 1 lakh it is shifted to 10,000 plus a continuing offence of 100 every day, and for LLP the maximum cap is 1 lakh, and for designated partner it is 50,000. Provisions for facilitating reconstruction or amalgamation, again default in complying with the order passed by the registrar. The punishment by way of fine was previously 50,000. Now it is again shifted from fine to penalty, and from 50,000 it has now reduced to 10,000 plus the continuing offence of 100 every day, with a ceiling of 1 lakh for LLP and 50,000 for designated partner. And section 73, we saw that 12 offences there is this decriminalization of offence, and one offence they have omitted, which is non-compliance of any order passed by the tribunal. There was a penalty imposed. Punishment with imprisonment which may extend to 6 months and with a fine of not less than 50,000. This particular section 73 is omitted. General penalties, which is the miscellaneous provision, where any person guilty of any offence under the Act for which no punishment is expressly provided, like your section 13 or section 34, 35, where specific provision is not provided for any non-compliance, then the general penalty is 50,000 to 5 lakhs and with a continuing offence fine of 50 per day. Now it is 100 per day, and in case of continuing default, subject to a maximum cap of 1 lakh. So the shift is not only from fine to penalty, also there is the shift from 5 lakhs to 1 lakh. With this, we are completing part 1, which is decriminalization of offence. We are moving on to part 2, which is introduction of new concepts and new issuances, more for ease of doing business and to unleash the potential of entrepreneurs. Small LLP, contribution which does not exceed 25 lakhs, because here it is linked to your capital contribution, or such higher amount as may be prescribed, and turnover as per their form 11, which is the statement of account and solvency for the immediately preceding financial year, does not exceed 40 lakhs or such higher amount as may be prescribed. When you are given this accredited certificate as small LLP, the benefits available to you are, of course, lesser compliance. Already LLPs have minimum compliance as compared to companies, because of which many of the forms of organization are shifting from companies to LLPs. Over and above that, to facilitate ease of doing business, the ministry has recognized this particular novel concept of small LLPs to give them further reduction in compliance and minimum paperwork prescribed, and also lesser fee or additional fee for these companies. Section 69 proposes for prescribing different additional fee for different class of LLPs, where I'm sure this will recognize small LLPs with a reduction in their normal fee or additional fee, as the case may be. Lesser penalties proposed under section 77A of the Act, which provides for prescribing not more than half of the penalty as prescribed in the Act, with a ceiling of 1 lakh for LLP and 50,000 for every partner or the designated partner or any other person. Another welcome move is issuances of non-convertible debentures. Alteration of LLP agreement is required because to insert a separate clause for issuance of NCDs. After making this necessary amendment, Form 3 LLP has to be filed for any change in the LLP agreement as compared to what you had filed with the ministry. You may have to submit this Form LLP, which is not a straight through process. It is again for approval from Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Then they can proceed with this fundraising in the form of issuances of secured NCDs to body corporates or trusts which are regulated by SEBI or RBI. SEBI in the form of your REITs or your InvITs, or if they are well regulated by RBI. The rationale being they should be governed by a specific regulator so that the investor's money is thus protected. Register is the procedural formality which has to be maintained by those LLPs which are issuing, and DRR has to be created out of profits, and it has to be used only for the specific purpose, which is none other than redemption of debentures. Necessary filings have to be made similar to maintenance of register. And tribunal will come to play for making the payment of principal and interest more to protect the debenture holders. And for violation of these provisions, every partner will be liable with imprisonment, this being a crucial provision and to protect the interest of investors who are going to put in their money for making this issue of debentures in LLP for a term which may extend to 1 year, or with fine of 2 lakhs to 5 lakhs, or with both. Third category is your concomitant and consequential amendments. There is this power entrusted with central government for establishing such number of officers and appointing such number of persons for effectively discharging their duties under the provisions of this act. And adjudication of penalties is again by way of an insertion. Appointment of adjudicating officers not below the rank of registrar for adjudicating the penalties under the provisions of the act, since there is this particular shift to in-house adjudication mechanism which calls for more number of officers to be entrusted with wider powers, and also thus requires these officers to have additional obligations and cast more responsibilities on them, and that is the rationale. And any person who is agreed by the order of this AO may prefer an appeal to RD. Failure to comply with the order passed by AO or regional director within 90 days of receipt, both the LLP and the officers shall be punishable with fine. On failure to comply with this order passed, LLP 25,000 to 5 lakhs. For officers, it is imprisonment which may extend to 6 months, or fine of 25,000 to 1 lakh, or both. Debenture, we all are aware, it is non-convertible debenture issued by the LLP evidencing a debt which is constituting a charge on the assets of the LLP, thus making it a secured debenture. Regional director, the definition is a person who is appointed by central government as a regional director for the purpose of this act, which is your LLP Act or Companies Act 2013. RD or any other officer is thus empowered with additional power to compound any offence which is punishable with fine only, because we are aware that if it is going to be an offence with fine only, then it is a compoundable offence, or when it is going to be imprisonment and with fine. If offence is compounded before the institution of an offence, then it cannot be instituted thereafter. And amount compounded shall not be either be less than the minimum fine or more than the maximum fine imposed for such offence. And RD may ask the LLP or its partners to furnish such documents while perusing this particular paper on compounding of an offence. And compounding shall not be applicable if similar offence is committed during the preceding three-year period. And application of such compounding shall be made to the registrar, who shall forward the same to the respective compounding officer. Failure to comply with the above, the maximum amount of fine shall be considered as twice for compounding. Friends, here RD or officer who is authorized by central government may compound an offence only when it is with fine only. I just wanted to clarify that non-compoundable offence is such an offence which is with imprisonment only or with fine and imprisonment. So only in the case of punishment with fine, you have this particular option of going for an application for compounding. And section 34, 34AA, again by way of an insertion, power is given to central government for prescribing accounting standards and auditing standards for such class or class of LLPs as recommended by Institute of Chartered Accountants of India in consultation with your National Financial Reporting Authority. And there was this recent news item which was published in Ministry of Corporate Affairs. However, friends, please note that this is yet to be notified. Some of the sections which are prescribed in this newsletter are section 90 to 91 to 11, register of SBOs in a company, where these provisions which are applicable to companies under Companies Act, there is a proposal to adapt with necessary modifications. We have to wait and watch as to what, by virtue of a notification, is going to be enforced by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs through section 67 subsection 1 of the LLP Act. One such provision is your SBO under Companies Act. Then disqualifications which are applicable for appointment of directors, set of provisions under section 164 to make it applicable for LLPs with necessary adaptations or modifications as the case may be. Number of directorships, again, to squarely apply to the designated partners, where the ceiling of 20 designated partners, and what if they are going to exceed the ceiling, we have to wait and watch. And 167, which clearly sets out the standard for the grounds on which the director shall vacate his office, shall squarely apply to LLPs as well. And power to call for information, inspect the books and conduct inquiry, such power is now applicable to LLPs as well. And section 207, conduct of inspection and inquiry upon receipt of the information from the companies, which is now applicable to LLPs as well. So hence, after receipt of these documents, how the inspection and inquiry is going to be conducted by LLPs by the authorities, we have to see. Section 252, subsection 1 to 3, appeal to tribunal, and offences to be non-cognizable, section 439, is also proposed to be made applicable by virtue of this section 67(1) of LLP Act to LLPs as well. No doubt, friends, all these amendments which are proposed by CLC report are the welcome move and to facilitate ease of doing business, and also to unleash the potential of new entrepreneurs and the professionals who are keen to set up their structured form of organization in the form of LLP. I'll be happy to take your questions, or we can wind up the session, friends. Thank you very much. Take care. Stay safe.